Alright, guys, how's it going? In today's video, we need to talk about this upcoming cold pattern because it's looking colder and colder by the day. So we're going to be watching multiple Arctic blasts come through. We're going to be talking about why this is going to be happening and how long it could last. Anyways, before we get into this video, be sure to smash that like button, leave a comment down below, and subscribe for more weather-related content. For today's comment of the day, I want to know, how long do you think this cold pattern will actually last? Do you think it's just going to go straight through into December? Do you think it's going to end around the 1st of December? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and I'll be picking one of those for tomorrow's video. Let's just get straight into this video, and first things first, we're taking a look here. And this is going to be approximately currently as I'm making this video. And as you can see, we're already in a cold pattern, a little bit of a cold pattern here. Out west, we can see some colder air making its way onto the west coast, which usually spells the near end to the cool down in the east. So we will watch that happen here. This is by the time we're reaching the high temperatures today, Tuesday, November 16th. And as you can see, those more neutral to above normal temperatures are making their way eastward. That cold is kind of anchoring itself there in the west, becoming more abundant, and that's just going to solidify that pattern for at least a couple days. And by the time we reach Wednesday, this is going to be November 17th, we're going to have a pretty warm day. It's going to be 70s here in Virginia as the high temperatures, so a pretty sufficient warm-up. But by the time we are reaching Thursday here, you can see that it's going to be quickly coming to an end because we're taking a look at this very potent cool down. It's a very strong cold front actually making its way down through the central United States promptly into the eastern United States. And usually once you see this warm air get squeezed like this, you can see that it's becoming a smaller and smaller area. It actually tends to become very potent. That's what I've noticed. I don't know if there's any scientific backing behind that or if that's just an observation I've made. But usually once we see this cold front approaching, the warm-up becomes more and more potent before it comes to an end. So Thursday should be the warmest day along the eastern seaboard there. This is the high temperatures on Thursday, November 18th. And really those dark reds, in this case it is true because that's 10 to 15 degrees above normal or even more for the eastern seaboard here. So very, very warm day there for Thursday, again, November 18th. Now, by the time we're reaching Friday, it's going to be November 19th. We can see that that cool down does eventually make its way into the eastern United States. And this is looking like a solid trough that is just centering itself over the eastern United States. And overall for the west, we have a pretty massive ridge out there for a majority of the western half of the country there, as you can see, and that is going to be kind of a positive PNA pattern, which encourages colder air in the east. But by the time we're reaching Saturday, November 20th, you can see the cold air is pretty marginal here for the eastern United States. The warm-up out west is still pretty potent, but it's generally shaking up the pattern. The pattern is not too solidified at this point, in my opinion. It's very all over the place, and especially by the time we're reaching Sunday, November 21st. You can see, look at this, it's just so messy. What's going on here? I don't know. There's cold and warmth and cold and warmth. I mean, you can find probably 100 different little blue dots here and 100 different orange areas. So it's all over the place here by this point. But the one thing that does stand out to me is that trough entering in through Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, and Wyoming by this point. Very significant cold air making its way in. And that feature right there is sure to solidify this pattern into whatever it wants, basically. It is going to be the dominant feature in this pattern for the United States. And by the time we reach Monday, November 22nd, look at that. Far below normal temperatures moving in through the Ohio Valley and then portions of the Gulf states, the Great Plains as well. The greens are going to be anywhere from 10 to 15 degrees below normal. And then you can see those purple shades in there inside the greens. That's going to be 15 to 25 degrees below normal. So a very significant departure from what is typical for these regions in a very potent cool down. And this very quickly by Tuesday, November 23rd, makes its way into the southeastern United States, bringing those frigid temperatures to a majority here of the eastern United States, and still warm in the west, which again is that kind of positive PNA pattern, which just further encourages that warmer air in the west and colder air in the east. Now here is the actual temperatures on that frame if this was to play out exactly the way this European model says. And as you can see, very widespread 40s, 30s, and even 20s there in those reds. Those kind of turquoise or very light blue shades, that's going to be mostly your 30s. And then the dark blues or navy blues are going to be your 40s and very low 50s there. So very cold temperatures. This is the high temperatures again, like I said. So this is not the low temperatures. This is the high temperatures. Some of the coldest temperatures of the year for many of these regions, probably, if this is to occur this way, which it's not too long range, so it isn't too far-fetched to assume it might pan out that way. Now, by the time we're reaching Wednesday, and this is going to be November 24th, we can see that we're still ongoing with that cool down. There's another potent area of that cold air up there for central Canada, and that is going to begin to move its way down into the eastern United States. So we will see that happening. By the time we're reaching this point, I mean, we're still taking a look at those darker blues and greens, which are going to be anywhere from about 10 to 15 degrees below normal anyway. So it's already still just very consistently well below normal, but this is going to add another layer to that cool down for sure. And we see it really make its way down by the time we're reaching Thursday, November 25th, which unfortunately is the last frame available on this model run, but you can see how potent that cold air is that's making its way down, especially now in the upper Midwest, the Ohio Valley, and interior regions there of the Mid-Atlantic. We're seeing easily 10 to 15 degrees below normal, and inside those purples and even the magentas there, that is especially 15 to 25, and in the magentas, it's going to be 25 to 30 degrees below normal, so very significant cool down potentially at the end of the model run. Now, here's a little bit of the reasons why. Let's just break it down real quick. Arctic Oscillation, or our AO. In this one's positive phase, we see all the cold air bottled up in the Arctic, and it doesn't escape. It doesn't go to the United States. It doesn't go to Russia. It doesn't go anywhere other than that Arctic Circle. In its negative phase, what happens is this whole wall that is enclosing this cold air breaks down, and it releases that Arctic air that has been bottled up. The longer it's been bottled up, the more potent it is. You know, ice, snow, all of it is just building that cold air further in the Arctic Circle. And when that pops negative, we see it released violently. And that's what we saw throughout this model run that we just walked through. Because as you can see, we're positive until about the 20th, and then we dip negative, far negative, for a pretty extended amount of time until about Thanksgiving or pretty far after as well, until we reach positive on about the 1st of December. So we can expect a lot of Arctic air to potentially make its way into the United States. Here's our NAO, or North Atlantic Oscillation, and this one pretty much determines if it's going to be more of a eastern cool down or a western cool down. But usually we look at this for snowstorms because this does create really great blocking opportunities in its negative phase, which we see it's going to be in for a pretty extended amount of time as well. Again, about the 20th through about the 27th there. In the wintertime, we look at this one because during nor'easters or similar snowstorms, this one in its negative phase creates basically the best possible setups for snow along the eastern seaboard and the interior eastern United States as well. So it is a little bit applicable, but it's not as big of a feature as our AO or our PNA, which we're taking a look at now. In its negative phase, it means colder air in the west. In its positive phase, it means warmer air in the west. And why this is important, and I talked about this, I think, yesterday, everything moves from west to east, okay? So it's moving downstream from the west coast to the east coast. So what happens in the west dictates what happens in the east. Not what happens in the east dictates what happens in the west. It's the other way around. So we're watching for these patterns out west to determine what's going to happen in the east. So when it's cold in the west and it's in this PNA's negative phase, we typically see very warm temperatures in the east. But when it's warm in the west, we usually see the colder air go to the east. Okay, so especially when this is combined with a negative AO, because that means there's going to be Arctic air included as well when these cool downs head into the east. And you can see this one goes negative around the 21st, just a couple days after the AO goes negative. So these are going to be matching up pretty well to give us a very, very cold pattern here in the east potentially. Anyway, for today's confidence tab, we're actually at a 5 out of 6 because I think we are overall going to be in a cold pattern for the later half here of November. It seems pretty certain at this point. Everything is pointing towards it, and the only reason we're not at a 6 is because, you know, sometimes you're just, you know, weather will seem like it's going to 100% go one way, and it just decides to go another. So we're leaving that 10% buffer for error for sure. For today's comment of the day, I asked you guys, which winter month do you think will be the coldest and snowiest? And Cali girl Anya said, I've always felt that January is usually the coldest month no matter where I am. And that typically it tends to just be true. I mean, probably 75% of the time. So I think that's a very safe bet there. So good comment of the day there. For today's patron highlight of the day, I want to thank you all for supporting the channel, but especially our platinum patrons, Bill Crates, James Wade, Dovey Nagel, The Other Pan, Mandy Birchfield, Patrick Strickland as well. I'd also like to thank our diamond patrons, Bill Roberts, Marcus Connolly, Noah Harley, Michael Codalessa, Catbite, Charles Stinnett, Cindy Klein, Alan Goodmaben, Bill Dallas, Gary, John Cleese, Dwight Phelan, Stephen Kernenthal, and Thomas D. Barr as well. I would also like to thank our channel members, Catbite, Stephen Fan, and Jeremy Cox also. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to smash that like button, leave a comment down below, and subscribe for more weather-related content. I will see you guys in the next video.